Welcome to A Knoxville Podcast. I'm Rob Howard, the Howard and Hutch Howard, as well as KnoxvilleRob.com. That's the place where you would actually come to at first to see this, the video, or listen to the audio of podcast. All the previous podcasts and everything are available right there. And today I'm happy to introduce Chad Chappelow.
Woo!
Welcome.
Happy to be here. Only been years in the making at this point. I feel like we've talked about it so much, kind of coming on here and knocking it out, but been able to kind of free up and carve up some space to be able to come on in here and have some fun.
Absolutely. And I think it's probably like what? How long have you been with the team?
Oh gosh. Let's see. So I went on my real estate adventure probably about 7 years ago. Would have been 2018 is when I really dove in and tried to go get my license. 2019, I actually got my license beginning and came right on here. So that's been about a 6-7 year journey, and I've been with Hutch Howard the entire time.
It's been a crazy journey too, hasn't it?
So just a little bit.
It's been a long, strange trip is what I think the basis for that. Anyway, I think that's a great thing. It's always a great thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, ever since the first time we really met, that's what that came down to.
Yeah.
We had Josh really introduce us and say, hey, you've got to go meet with this team and go knock it out. And I'm pretty sure we spent about 4 hours at dinner that night. Just going through everything.
Just sitting there, and I love the funny story where you were thinking, I'm worried about the way that I present myself. I'm going to come dressed up, and I'm going to shave my beard
completely
off.
Dressed up, completely clean shaven. It's the last time I was clean shaven for that. So,
and then we showed up in polos and khakis. And,
I think you were wearing flip flops.
Yeah, probably. and both had beards. So
yeah, that was an adventure for sure. Without knowing about it, I always looked at it as that was the career path. You're out here, you're doing your stuff. You need to get dressed up. You need to do your things with it. And going on this, when my background was all food related, being a general manager and going through that process, it made it to where going into real estate was really the first, call it like a big boy job. Really having that and feeling like that was a career and a profession. And so that was really the main reason behind that. I know we look back and laugh at that now, and I look back and laugh at that, but that really was my thought process.
And I appreciate the effort in a lot of different ways. It says a lot about you as a person. It says that you are not locked into your little niche of, I'm going to, whatever. I mean, one of my maxims that I've always had is be who you want. So if I'm going to be the realtor that other people would want, that I would want.
Right.
Like, so, if I see your perception of what, the real estate industry was Josh Purvis, which is our friend in common.
Of course.
And he's always clean shaven.
Always.
He's always kind of put together and so it makes sense that was your perception, and therefore you conform to whatever. It's not about conforming, but it is about the person that, I don't know. I primarily do not sell luxury houses. I would love to sell luxury houses. I don't have a reason not to, except that, the people that I target, I don't target.
Well, your database, it's almost like the one thing I've always applauded you for is that you start off with, it's almost like you meet somebody and they need a starter home. And it's like, okay, cool. Here's the starter homes. Here's here. But what you're so great at is you continuously keep in touch with them, that the next stage it's, oh, hey, Rob, we've had a child. We need to go into a next house that's bigger. Oh, hey, Rob, we've had another child. We need to go to the next stuff that's bigger. And so, granted, I'm sure you've had plenty of clients that end up in that spot where they need that luxury side. But for you take that pride in when a family needs you, you go through it and find that bigger house or find those things when families need to get in touch with you.
Or smaller house.
Right.
I
downsize now at this point,
my conversation usually says, I don't care what you buy, and I really don't care when you buy. I want you to buy. I want to help you get to the place that you want to be. And, if it's bigger, if it's smaller, ideally, and I think it's relational versus transactional. And
right.
if you have a relationship with someone, historically, people talk about the D's, like the death, divorce, diploma, all that. But, for practical matters, it's whenever something happens that somebody needs. Like,
I always like it as finding the dream home one conversation at a time, because it's
Exactly.
almost like that first conversation you have can be, oh my gosh, these big life events happened. I need to do this. I need to do that. But then the next conversation is, oh, hey, I've had some time. I don't need a 6-bedroom house. I don't need all these other things that you might have started off with. So I've
Right.
always liked that sentence because it's always stuck with me. It's not just person by person having that conversation where each conversation is different, but it could be the same person where each conversation is different
Yeah.
to find that dream home. So kind of going back to, what that road you were going down there, it's like every conversation can result in something different that you think needs to get added to their search or to find or anything else that might be there.
Yeah. Well, I guess my ideal, my if you had an idol, is Michael Mayer
Mhm.
with he wrote the 7 Levels of Communication. I'm a huge fan of
You've
Michael.
been a huge fan for the entire time that I've known you.
Since I bought the book, I sat down and I read it in one sitting, which is, I mean, the audiobook
It's
is
up
5
there.
hours, so
I was about to say it's up there too.
it's
It's
not a
not
tiny
like
book.
right.
It's not a hard book to read, because it's engaging and all those types of things. But it was almost like, this is, if I was systematic about doing what I do instead of super organic and kind of a little, whatever, living in flexibility, which is basically my life.
I was about to say, do we lose the Rob who he is if we throw systems in his face and say,
Well,
"Hey, do this"?
as
Because I think that's
long
one.
as I have someone who, I mean, I'm a high I and I'm a high S, and on the disc, there's different people that are different, have different qualities and different things. For me, I need a DC in my life saying, so if they're working the systems and they're presenting the systems, whoever that may be, it may be an AI, it may be, I mean, ideally it's Carrie.
I'm
Carrie
about to
has
say
been
Carrie was always that. She's obviously the and in the Hutch and Howard part. So
exactly.
that's a big side of it. Also, I mean, I think that's one of the reasons that you and I have always gotten along, because I've always, when I started, one of the beautiful parts about the team is that with Brandon being more system oriented, hey, do this, you'll be successful. Do this, do that, like just very system with it. Whereas you're more like, hey, follow up with your past people, always be that front of topic, always being able to say happy birthday, always having fun and creating things like a podcast, or having fun and creating things that are just able to be talked about. I think that changes some of the aspects of it. It's almost like you want to pull from each one and find the best of both worlds in there to be that more well-rounded agent. So
Sure.
that's why I've always loved about your style and what you do with yours, is that yours can be so organic. This side of it, it's almost like you love doing so much what you do that everybody knows that about Rob Howard. Everybody knows that. So
And I had a client this week, and she was talking about, they decided, like, they listed the property, and they decided that, there's too much stuff going on. She's about to graduate from this. She's or about to take a test to move up in her career. Yeah, just different things. They've got a 2-year-old, and they're just like, I don't know. I don't think we can keep the house clean. I told her, all the pressure's off when your exam is done and when all this stuff, then we'll figure out when is the best time to stick it on the market, the best time to do all that stuff. In the meantime, we both agreed that that it'll be kind of a pocket listing, and I can tell
right.
people about it, and if I want to line it up, that I can bring someone. But it's kind of a lengthy thing. It's kind of, you get 24 or 48 hours notice instead of a little thing that pops up on your phone saying, hey, can somebody see it in an hour?
Right.
And I think
Well, and
it should be fun. Real estate should be, and it is fun.
but that side of it just shows, and that's the other side that I feel like stands out for people that we directly work with. It's not just about grabbing a check and calling it a day. It's about what really works best for the clients, what really works in their scenario and their time frame of what's there. Anybody that's just money hungry could have easily sat there and said, "Oh no, we got to list it. It's got to go live tomorrow."
Yeah,
like,
I've got your paperwork.
you already put pen to paper. That's just, to me, that shows that kind of difference, right? Like I know almost an identical situation for a pocket listing that we have going in Oak Ridge that'll be later this month. It's whenever you're ready. We've got pen to paper for it already. We've got things that are there, and he's got some emotional ties to the house, and it would be very easy to say, oh wait, it's January 12th. We got to get this out right now. And instead, it very much can be just the organic of when you're ready. Let's get the pictures. Let's get the stuff. And in the meantime, I'm going to share what I have with everybody and see where that goes. So that's a huge process of it too, where you have to be able to say, this is what works best for the client, not I want to collect a check tomorrow.
Right.
And that's a huge difference in how you are as an agent.
But it's also like when the bottom drops out of the economy, and if you're transactional and you are going, you're thinking about the next check, number one, you panic. And number two, you stop doing the things that you're supposed to do.
Well, there's a reason, Rob, and I think you could attest to this. There's a reason that so many agents have not renewed for 2025 or 2026, whatever year we're in now, for the new January cycle that's there.
And that's crazy because the internet, the very place that is probably telling them to be scared, is also the place that says that Knoxville is the number one destination for people to relocate.
I think we've all seen those videos now at this point. It's like, okay, if you...
I know I've shared it.
So I do think that those agents that are transactional, they haven't built those pillars of that business. They haven't built that foundation to be able to go forward. And truthfully, I think that their past clients or people they may know probably look at it that way too. They're like, oh, this guy's just a transaction. He's not a what's going on and keeping up with our stuff and everything else. So I totally see where you're coming from on that. I think that agents as a whole, if they would gear up and be more towards we care about our clients, we're doing what's best for them instead of transactional, that we'd have more successful agents. But there's a reason people think that they just can come in here and make a bunch of money and get out. That's, I think.
Well, and there are people who do that.
Right.
And if you do that, as long as you want to work 24 hours a day, that you want to hustle and do that.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I like going home and playing with the kids, man.
Yeah,
so,
since I don't have kids.
Well, Dickens counts.
Yes. But yeah, there's pros and cons to every little aspect of but there's ways to do it however your personality is. It just doesn't work for me.
Right.
To whatever. Not what gets unwieldy is 23 years of doing this. There's people that I've failed to put into I must, stay in touch with. And sometimes it's overwhelming when I try to take, my list and turn it into a list of, the people that I need to systematize and keep up with. And
in fairness to that, 23 years ago, I think it was a lot, in my opinion, it would be a lot harder than what it is now because, you're going to go write their name on a yellow legal pad and hope to keep track of it, hope to put it in the right place. Whereas now we live in a world where we can log in and tag all of these things. We can make it give me a notification to reach out to this person, give me a different part here. Like, there's no reason to not have your follow-up game be better as an agent in today's world than what it was 20 years ago. Like that, there's no way it's harder now. There's no way it's harder.
That's right and it's wrong. The day that I started, I had a laptop. The day that I started, I had, I had a legal pad and I had, I
you
take
still
my
have
notes.
Legal pads, don't
but I know that if I don't digitize it, then it's not going to be somewhere. And I got something. There was this little company out of Canada called Point Two Agent, and it was one of the first CRMs that was on my radar. And I got that, and I used it for like the first year, and then whatever. It wasn't the best, and it wasn't very good about interacting with the IDX, and it wasn't very good about doing a lot of, things that that I needed in my head. But then also, I was still at that point in my career, my career started as a real estate investor. So right out of college and in the middle of my first job, instead of getting an apartment, I decided to buy the worst little house in the worst little neighborhood and, kind of, at least I own something and at least...
Do a little house hacking going on.
Yeah, well, it's not even that. It's just... I fixed it up some, and no, I mean, I did quite a bit of work to it, but it was also, I don't know, you could hear gunshots going off at the time. This is South Knoxville. This is not, whatever. But that neighborhood, it's funny because, and I sold it years ago, but that house, the average price of a house at that time was 119,000. I paid 32,000 for this house to live in. $32,000.
It is crazy seeing the jump, and not even like, I can only imagine seeing it for as long as you have, but even just seeing it for the 7 years that I've been here. So, being the transplant from Florida and being here for about 12 years now at this point, 12 years ago, I mean, the very first house I rented was a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house on an acre, and it was $700 a month.
Yep.
And I mean, I had that for 6 or 7 years altogether, talking about where we were and how things were in it. And that house now probably rents for $2,300.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's crazy to see just that jump. And, I did a little bit of tile work too before I became an agent. And I remember being in houses that were over off a level road that we would tile the bathrooms, tile the backsplashes, and get out of them. And when they were selling those, they were $400,000. I just sold a house.
Another 1.2.
Right, exactly. It's like, I don't know your jump and seeing it from 119 or anything else that's in there. I can only imagine the jump that you've seen in the market.
Well,
and
the average was 119, and now it's what?
I thought it was
378.
I was about to say it was like 375 was the last time I had seen it. But
yeah,
again,
so that's kind of incremental. It's kind of funny that it's incremental.
Right.
That the average price point is slower moving, and that might be the median price, but I don't think it's the median price.
I don't think so either. I think we've looked at it and dove into it plenty of times. I'm pretty sure that's about the average. Is that?
Yeah.
Now, I would like to know what's really bringing that down in Knox County, because truthfully, in this area, if you say 375, I mean, that's a huge difference from
What's
what
the
it
house
was.
that you're going to get?
Yeah, I mean, it's so I'd love to know how that's doing that, because we have our big, $1 million listings and our big multi-million dollar listings that are here that of course are drawing up the price. But then you look at the lower end of that. I don't know about you, but I don't know where you can go get a $200,000 house that's a normal quote unquote starter home, 3-bedroom, 2-bath house.
About this time last year, I actually did a video what a $200,000 house looks like, and I had 3 showings. I was showing with one of my clients because they were wanting to find
somewhere.
Basically, I told them the story about what I did, and that's they were thinking about trying to do the same thing. So, it was the same house that was 50,000 when I was looking. So it was a little bit nicer than the one that I bought
originally,
32 grand, but not appreciably nicer. Mine was roughly 1,000 square feet, and that one was like 1,200 square feet. But a 20 by 10 room is not that much.
Right.
That's a laundry room, or that's a something. So, and this last year, I also went back and was like kind of nostalgia. I really didn't want to buy it, but I wanted to see the house that I had bought in 1999 is when I bought that.
I'm going to start saying it the late 1900s for you.
Yeah, the late 1900s. But that house, it was, they had it listed for $250. And when I went to see it,
see, I got to be honest, I would have expected more, even though $250 dollars a square foot is pretty high in this area and everything. But still, you would think, out of all of our conversations that we've had and all the things you've seen, to see a price jump of $200,000 in that house, you would have expected a little bit more. And I think that's kind of the path you're going down, is that you would have expected a bigger jump than that.
It's also funny because it was right across these railroad tracks that were hardly ever used, but right across the railroad tracks from a laundromat that now 20 years later, almost 25 years later, that laundromat is Alliance Microbrewery. So,
oh, really?
And Sevier Avenue in South Knoxville, just it's turned into something that it wasn't back then.
Right. Which only raises property value, of course.
Yeah, that raised the property value, it raised the demand, and but when I went in to look at that house, it was funny because the paint on the walls was the exact paint that I had applied 23 years ago. The deck, which needed to be replaced, when I was living there, I pressure washed it like 3 times while I was living there just to kind of sustain it a little bit, and did some minor fix up.
Restain it maybe.
I was also 25 years old, and my thought was I'm going to live in a place rather than rather than pay
I
for
mean,
it.
it's a
And then,
mindset to have.
yeah,
I wish more than anything when I first moved here, I wish that instead of renting like I did, I would have bought. Because those houses that I would have bought or been able to purchase at that time would have been massive houses now. I mean, the equity level in those would have been massive.
yeah.
So I do see that as well. I mean, especially in Maryville and Blount County where I'm at, that's where I would have bought at. That's where I
Hmm.
would have done those things. So I can only imagine that the house that I'm in now that we bought in 2021 that's gone up, $70,000-$80,000 in equity, that a house if it would have been bought in 20, what is 12 years ago now? This was 2026. So
Yeah,
yeah, 2014, 2015, I can only imagine that house probably would have gone up to $200,000 in equity
right.
is what I would guess. But
And if you had that mindset, then you would have probably, not sold that house, but once you built up some equity, pulled a little bit of equity out, use that as the down
go
payment
get another
on your
one.
next place,
Go
and
get it,
and
build it up.
yeah,
That's one of the beautiful parts about our job and our profession and in our kind of area is I think there's multiple millionaires throughout the United States that have become millionaires due to that kind of philosophy
yeah,
of buy, hold, cash out, refi, buy, hold, cash out, refi, and how many of those have we probably run into? I know I've got at least 3 or 4 clients that I deal with on the normal that will reach out and be like, hey, this is what we're doing. I just had one close in December.
yeah.
That's basically what they've done. They've now created their first rental and going down that path.
Well, and I understand that, the interest rates as they are right now, kind of, it changes the numbers. It skews the numbers up. Hopefully those will be making, right size correction adjustments, whatever, in
I'd
the
have
next
to
little bit.
cross-reference with NAR, but I thought I remember saying that the number of people that are below 3% from those COVID years is actually dwindling to a point that the people above 6 now outnumber those below 3.
Probably.
I
I mean,
don't
because life happens,
I don't
you
know
know.
that for a fact, but that again, like you said, life happens.
Yeah.
It's such an easy thing to be able to go through there and cash out and do anything else. But you know what? I've mine in December, which I think they've gotten better now. But the one that I just had closed in December, they were 5.8.
Hmm.
So 5.8 is massive. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
that's a
awesome.
huge dip from where we saw it. I mean, I think 2023 we saw it in 7,
Yeah.
7.3, something like that.
Yeah.
Like that's a huge drop. I mean,
It
we're talking
is.
thousands of dollars every month that you're able to save on some houses. So
Yeah. And but yeah, at least hundreds of bucks on your payment, one way or
exactly.
the other, for the
I mean,
same house.
exactly.
Um, so tell me about I guess maybe one of your favorite deal stories.
Oh man. Well, of course, I think you and I have only done one together, but I know we've done 3 now at this point, right?
Probably.
All those are fun. All those are fun when you have somebody on the other side that you know and love. But truthfully, the ones that mean the most to me, I don't really have like one set one. I did have a client when they were looking at houses, the daughter fell down the stairs and broke her arm. That was a crazy experience. Never,
Mm.
don't wish that on anybody. Um, but then I've had, I think honestly my favorite ones are ones that just reach back out. Ones that they might see as you're so good at posting pictures of a butterfly and getting people to comment on kind of deal. We have those types of situations, and those are always my favorite. The reach out, they're like, "Hey, Chad, we've got X, Y, and Z going on. We need you to come do this or do that, or hey, we've got a family member." I actually just 2 days ago had a past client who their toddler called me out of nowhere. I don't know how that happened, but then he was like, "Hey, Chad, I actually have somebody that's looking to sell their house." So,
Oh, that's fun.
it's just little things like that that I think are fun. So as far as a set, this is it. It's always fun to go see the big cabins in Sevierville, and it's always fun to go see the lakefront properties, and it's always fun to go just to be in those houses and see those things. Those are always fun, but
Yeah.
that's not really one set instance that I can say this is my favorite deal or this is the house that I've loved the most. So hopefully that answers your question. I know it seems like it's a bunch of mumbling there,
No,
but
no, no. I think I was just like, I wonder if challenges overcome and all that kind of stuff. But I mean,
it's always fun too. And what I look at, what I see is I love selling where I live, if that makes sense. So like the Blount County side and the Maryville side and Alcoa, having Stella be so wrapped up in the Alcoa City schools between playing basketball and soccer and being out and about and just being a part of that community. My favorites is always when people buy over there and they end up, I reach back out to them or I see them as we go to school events and like, thank you so much for finding this community for us type deal. Those are up there for me. knowing the Maryville area and knowing where those cutoffs happen for schools and cutoff happens for different things. Those are honestly some of my favorite. I love seeing some different subdivisions that maybe at one point in time weren't the greatest become the greatest, where somebody goes in there and does their thing.
Right.
I know a lot of people are upset that Maryville is just kind of growing and doing their stuff and not having their parts, but it's something that for me, I always love having in there and seeing it grow. So I'd say those are probably my favorite, just because you get to see those ones on a daily basis. You know,
Right.
it's you're going to the Krogers and Publix and you're seeing clients and you're seeing people reach back out, or you're just there all the time and involved in those things. So I'd say those ones are my favorite, but again, it's also Oak Ridge has been so good to me over the 7 years as well that it's my brother. He's not actually a blood brother, but I call him a brother. He moved from Maryville to Oak Ridge, and that was almost like the first domino of the effects of just
Uh-huh.
Oak Ridge just exploding for me in that area. So
Sure.
I'd say those are kind of my favorites to go deal with. But at the same time, I took a lot of pride in being like you, where it doesn't matter. It can be a $20,000 lot. It can be a, $1.2 million house. Doesn't matter. It's just all the clients and
As
building
long
that
as
as
they're
much as
yeah, as
exactly.
long as I take care of their needs, then my needs are
Yeah, I think
always gonna be good.
I think in the beginning, one of my least favorite stories is the very first house I ever sold.
Oh,
And that one was just a new agent and going on a listing appointment and not getting done what I promised. Let's just put it that way. Just there was unfortunately, it was a client that her dad had passed away. She lives in a different state and trusted us to take care of the whole process and get things sold in the house for her and to do whatever. And I just didn't come through on that promise. And so when it closed, she didn't even want me to be in there with her. She didn't even want me to
oh
be
no.
in the room with her. She didn't want me to be anywhere near her. So as far as a worse deal, that kind of lines up with that.
But that was I
You
don't know.
learn so
Everything's a
much.
learning
I think you
process.
learn so much more from your mistakes than you do from your successes, if that makes sense. Like,
Mhm.
even though everything is a learning curve to be able to do stuff, your mistakes can really make you who you are as an agent. And so looking back, knowing what I messed up on, knowing what I did there, making it to where every time I go into a listing appointment now, I can say
You know what the expectations are by the
correct.
time that you leave, and you know that there's both systems and there's
Well, there's
experience and knowledge to take care of them.
an expectation from our clients. I mean, our clients, when they do that with you, there's an expectation of you to be able to be there for them at quite possibly one of their most vulnerable times in their life.
Yeah.
And I had to learn that the hard way, but that's
Well, that's
still a lesson
there's
learned.
learning curves.
But
We all have learning curves, that we all have opportunities where we didn't do exactly what we expected of ourselves, and
well,
we all have those stories.
especially now, I think, and I mean, I can't speak for you at all, but there's on every deal, it seems like there's, oh, I guess I could have done this better. You almost look back on it and kind of second guess yourself on how you handled things and think about what you maybe could have done a little bit better here or there or things like that. But that's always one that I'll look back on and go, cool. I was so grateful to get this first listing. As a matter of
Is
fact,
that the one where we all had to do the not
we
trash out,
yep,
but
we had to go clean up the entire house for her, and then we ended up, believe, selling it for her and getting some of that stuff done. And I actually, as a reminder of it, anybody that knows me and comes into the office, they'll see I've got a big red bowl that's over there, and I have that bowl as a reminder to do the things that you're supposed to be able to do and stay in front of it.
and
So
don't overpromise.
right.
Don't say that you're going to do something that you don't.
But
Yeah.
we did, at the end of the day, we got it sold. This would have been, of course, 2019. So we got it sold. I believe it was above asking price, if I remember correctly, but we overpromised, and that's we stretched ourselves too thin, and that falls down to me. That's me overpromising. But as far as the
Well,
actual end of
that
the
I wouldn't worry
day,
about that. So, a funny story with that house. I just this week I had this ratchet screwdriver from. I mean, this was the lady's parents, if I remember
yeah,
correctly,
it was her dad,
and they had passed away, and she didn't want any of it.
and
So
none of it.
there was a whole 1960s, 1950s set of tools that this fella had. I
There's
have used the tools that instead of throwing them in the landfill, I took some of them home, and I still had a ratchet screwdriver that lived in my toolbox, my personal toolbox. That was the screwdriver. Both on one side it was Phillips, and on the other side, and then it plugged into this ratchet thing where if it goes in, like if this is the ball, it would go in, and like if you were unscrewing, you had to flip the ball over. And anyway, it's a crazy, crazy little tool. It's the best screwdriver that I'd ever had. And yeah, it finally gave up the ghost. And that was what, how long would,
that would have been 2019, beginning
yeah.
part of 2019. So we're beginning part of
So 7
26.
years
So
ago.
7 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that, I think the kind of to go along with that is the other fun side of our job is, I mean, you go in there and people are like, yeah, I'll sell this to you. I'll do this for you. Like, I've got a 75-inch TV hanging above my fireplace right now that happened because I brought the buyers for a sale of a house, and the sellers were there doing a garage sale, right? Literally when we did our showing.
Uh-huh.
And they were like, yeah, we'll sell that TV for $100. Okay, I'll be happy to take that right now.
One of my favorite stories with that, and it wasn't something that I got, but my buddy Adam Gratz, he used to be a realtor. Now he works for Old Tennessee Distillery, but he had a listing. I think he always called him the Marshal because I think he was like a retired U.S. Marshal or something like that. But they had a property on the water. They were selling it. The buyer didn't want an old 1980s pontoon boat. Adam said, I'll take it, because the seller didn't want it either because they were moving away from the water.
Right.
And so he ended up with an old but
That's
very
cool.
fun and very usable pontoon
Right.
boat. And
I think
we rode
that
around
just
on
goes
it.
along with some of the crazy things we see. I mean, for the longest time, we had a group chat going on for the craziest things we see on a showing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a fun group chat to have. I remember taking a picture of this. I'm not kidding. I think it was a butterfly. It was like this big with its wings being spread out in there. So, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that I think that separates our job, where it's not just, oh, you want to buy a house? Here we go. That's it. It's really every day is something different. It's
Yeah.
every day is a different conversation that leads to a different showing, that leads to a different listing appointment, that leads to a different, all type of situations that go on with our job. And truthfully, I don't think there's any other job like that out there where
No.
your day can be X and the next day it could be Z, and
Yeah,
there's no correlation.
There's
to
not
how it gets
necessarily a
there.
queue in the middle of that. You've got golden days, you've got plastic days, and you've
Right.
got regular days.
So I know, Robbie, obviously, with the podcast and doing everything else, what else do you have going on kind of right now? I feel like it's been a while since we've touched base. So
It's been an interesting few months. Of course, I'm doing the same things that I always do.
I don't know. I was told that someone was taking the month of December off, and I think that ended up being a little bit too
famous last words. Yeah, February. I think it was. Oh no, it was November 29th. I had a closing, and I was like, I'm just, I'm going to let people know that I'm, kind of be off.
Boom, boom, boom.
And then then two friends. That was a Friday. Saturday morning, someone called me and it was somebody who had bought a house a couple years ago, and their parents were moving down. So I got to start showing houses with them, which was so fun because their little boy had grown up a little bit, and so it was kind of neat to see from dad to carry him around to
see. I
he
love
could run
that too.
around.
That's and I know I hate kind of saying it back and forth, but the closing I just had in December was very much the same exact thing. Where when they bought their first house in Oak Ridge, she was pregnant.
Yeah.
And so then going out there and seeing their little girl and playing with her while they're out looking at houses, like I'm more or less distracting her outside playing tag while they're looking at the house
Yeah.
and answering questions kind of deal. That's a cool aspect. And of course, she's pregnant again. Like it's almost like they've got another little one that's now on the way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that side of it is you get to see everybody's big life.
That's
moments.
the heart side. Yeah. It's the thing. That's the type of thing that makes me just, love doing it, and it doesn't get old. It doesn't get tiresome. I'm not pounding the phone calls like everybody, like they preach that you need to. But on
So I
the other
say I
hand,
kind of am.
well, but whatever that works for you,
Right.
that doesn't work for me.
But see, this side of it, this is where, like I told you, I'd love to pull from kind of like the each side of it. This side here being what you do on a daily basis of reaching out, doing podcasts, doing different stuff. That to me means a lot too to your clients. Being able to be that person that stays top of mind. That's a skill set that I don't have that you absolutely do have.
Well, there's a certain number of set of people that you can do that with consistently,
Right.
and I think that's one of my challenges is trying to decide, how to stay in contact with as the number grows.
I'm about to say at this point, I know I personally got a handwritten note from Rob Howard for Christmas. So if I got that, if it went to everybody in your database, that had to have been a pretty sore wrist for you at the end of the month.
I loved it. That was a Michael Mayer thing.
Yeah.
It was, this is not about real estate. This is not about sales. This is not about, anything like that. This is about, just pick people that you loved, pick people that you cared about, and, just send them a letter.
Right.
And I loved doing that so much. And I've gotten such great feedback from it. And I still try to do it. Still,
Right.
in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, who would benefit from, or who needs, if someone's parents passed away or if
Right.
someone's, all those types of things. And I don't do it for business. I
Right.
mean, it results in business sometimes, but it's more about, I don't know, be who you want.
Well,
I would love for somebody to
It's almost like you
express
have
in
a
the same
heart,
way.
Rob. It's almost like you have a heart. That's kind of
Thanks to the wizard, back when I was in, no, I don't know. I just love doing it. So that's a good thing. Tell me about okay, you started out, you went to high school and all that in Florida, right?
Correct. Yep.
And when did you start feeling like a Knoxvillian?
Oof. Man, I guess for any of the sports fans in there, it probably started happening when I actually started rooting for the Vols more often. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's
Of course, being a Vols fan is it was a big part of it as well. I never really followed college as much. I'm more of a pro guy, so I never really followed the college football or anything like that. So being here, it's funny. I was always the one that would pick up a shift on a Saturday or do the things that happened on Saturday because I didn't care.
Yeah.
But I would say really feeling into it would have been back being a manager for Cookout and working game days on the Cumberland stretch there would have really been, that was a big one, where a Gator game that's at home, you just the amount of people and being in that environment and going out there, and then of course transitioning from working it to going to those games to feeling like I'm more in it, I guess would be the best word to say. Like I'm in it. And then at that point I was working at Petros for a while, which being in Knoxville, Petros is, if you don't like Petros, I don't even know if you can be a Knoxvillian at this point. I really don't know, but
yeah, it was at the World's Fair. That was one of the local foods that emerged from the World's Fair in 1982.
So that was a big side of it. I guess really kind of like just learning different aspects of where to be at. Truthfully, probably a lot of when real estate started. In 2018, a lot of big life things happened for me where, unfortunately I lost my father, who when losing him, he very much, and I've said this, I think even in different interviews with you and pretty much with everybody, but he always said, Chad, you can talk to a brick wall. And anybody that knows me knows that's the absolute truth, that I'm going to find something in common with you and we're going to talk, and it could be hours that we're talking.
It doesn't matter what it is. It matters that you have that rapport, that you
right, exactly,
to create that.
So then at that point, once he passed, it was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do in life? I want to do something in sales. Let's go try it. I got very blessed that he did have, a little bit that got passed down to my sister and I. And when that happened, I literally quit the restaurant business and said, I'm out. I'm going to go focus on selling real estate. And I think I started my exams or my schooling in October, and By December, I was taking the test, and by February, I had my license in hand, actually hung up and in the Keller Williams office. So,
That's awesome.
at that point, of course, being with you guys every day, it was learning subsections, it was learning zip codes, it was learning neighborhoods, it was where are you most comfortable at, where do you like to be at. So then it's falling a lot on you guys for different zip codes and what to do, but then kind of also being that person for you guys in Maryville, where it was like that's where I lived at. So we were going through different subdivisions and different parts and different things. So if I had to say a time, I think it all kind of happened in sections,
Yeah.
and being 36 now, 30, no, 35. I don't know, lose track of it. At this point, I've been here for a third of my life. I've really put the roots into it, having two daughters here, a beautiful wife that helps out with everything. So it's I would not go back. I
Right.
wouldn't go back. I miss my family down there, but I wouldn't go back. I've
Well,
built
the
this
great
here.
thing is, I mean, the Allegiant should have a quick little trip down there
It's
for $50 a head. Or
it's also only about 10 hours of a drive door to
Oh.
door. So,
Yeah.
which we've done that drive more times than I can count to go see family, be down for Christmas and things like that. But that's so for me, being a Knoxvillian and being a part of it, I really do think it's kind of come in stages. It's an aspect that I love having that I'm from a different state because just like, and I'm pretty sure I've heard you talk about in your podcast, being pulled from different states like we've had new buyers doing and coming to Knoxville. The article that you just talked about, where we were talking about videos a little while ago, where it's supposed to be the number one city to move to. Like, I have that experience. I did move here. I moved here. I got entwined in it, and I very much became a part of it. And there really isn't looking back. I don't think there's anywhere else you can go to have the seasons that we have the camaraderie that we have, and just have like everybody that is in this area to open a door and say, no, ma'am, yes, sir, thank you, and please. It's a wonderful area to be in, be wrapped in the church, just everything else that comes with being in this area is unmatched, in my opinion. It's unmatched.
Well, and when people come from out of town, I love to say, when they ask about snow, I'm like, yeah, it's usually, I say 2 to 3. It's usually 2 to 3 snows a year. It's usually 2 to 3 inches, and then it usually lasts for 2 to 3 days. And
And then it just depends on the part I love to everything shuts down.
Oh,
Oh
yeah,
God,
yeah,
guys, there's snow.
yeah,
It's
so you get
we're
2 to 3 days off. You get 2 to 3
everything
days off.
shuts down. That's definitely I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago now at this point that we had that white Christmas. I've never had a white Christmas. That was magical, absolutely magical
Yeah.
for Christmas time to have that. Of course, now this year I think we wore shorts this Christmas. So,
Yeah,
it's
well,
unpredictable, but
but it's also, yeah, I think this area is kind of wonderful in that, because I remember white Christmases when I was young. I remember, white Christmases a couple of years ago, like you said. But then I also remember maybe 10 years ago, there was, it was so warm in November that the dogwoods bloomed a second time. But it was just long enough, and then the snow hit. So I actually have some photos of a dogwood with snow.
in the snow.
Yeah,
Oh,
dogwood in the
that's
snow.
massive. That's
And
cool.
yeah, I love that. That was one of my favorite pictures.
I'd definitely say that weather-wise, it's a part that I really like because I don't necessarily love the cold. I've got family in Michigan. I've been up there for those Michigan winters. I don't want to go back for the Michigan winters, but in the same aspect to it, being from Florida and going out in the summertime and stepping outside and immediately feeling like you have to shower with the humidity level and heat. So I love the middle ground here. I love that we get that kind of aspect. I also love where we are, that I actually like to call it like the 3-hour rule, because anything you could want to do is 3 hours away. It's
Yeah.
You want to go to Nashville and enjoy a night out, 3 hours. Do you want to go to Cherokee to hit the casino, 3 hours? You want to go, down
Well,
to
there's
Atlanta?
also the 8-hour rule, which is kind of interesting. That I don't know if you've heard this one, but Knoxville is 8 hours from, I think it was like, it's either 75% or it's something like 75% of the population. So, like within 8 hours, you can be
you
to
can go
populate.
whichever
You can be to
direction.
roughly to New York City or to a good portion of Florida.
I believe that,
You know?
yeah, because we went down to the Panhandle not that
Yeah,
long ago, and it was about 8 hours.
yeah. I mean, takes about that long. It takes a little bit longer than that to get to the Mississippi River, but this whole everything is kind of, and we've got 75 and 40 crossing right here, the
Right.
interstates, and that kind of makes it one of the hubs. It's kind of a, I don't know, there's a lot of
Well,
different
I also
things
think
that
that's why
are,
we're growing, because I think you have people who it's not just doing their research a little bit, it's that they physically have driven through our town. They've driven through our city to be
I've
a
heard that
part
a thousand times from
that,
different
oh my
people.
God, I was driving to X, Y, and Z and I passed through Knoxville and I absolutely loved it. And
Yeah.
that's to me, I
We
think that's a
stopped and
huge
had dinner at
aspect.
Turkey
Yeah.
Creek, or we stopped and had dinner downtown, or one of my favorites is we got stuck in game day crowd.
And just
We
loved
got
it.
stuck. Yeah, we got stuck on the interstate, and I saw all the flags, and we pulled off and saw the crowd, saw
I
the.
don't know if there's anything or anywhere else where you could go and have that many people in one area rooting for one team. I don't think it's possible. Going through that whole downtown stretch, that whole downtown area on game day is not for the weak. That's for
It's
sure.
it's not, but I think it's the attitude and the everything that you pull up, that you arrive with. That's kind of, it helps you. I don't know. If you come in and you see the joy of people and you see, the crowds doing that, I don't know. I personally get energy off crowds.
Right.
I go to the football game to hear the people yelling, to watch the band, cheerleaders, football, the football traditions running through the tee and all that. I've never been a big sports guy, but I would I
Just
would
that
definitely
environment of being
I would
around that.
pay for the ticket, maybe three or four games, and then I usually watch the rest of them on TV or whatever with a crowd somewhere.
Well, and we've gotten to a point where we've got a set group of friends that we watch all these bigger games with and watch everything with every single year. And I mean, those are my favorite time of the year is to be
Yeah.
able to go do that and be around people that you love to be around to watch the games and do everything with. So it's just it has so much of this area that you could just go anywhere and yell "Go Vols" and you'll have 30 people yelling right back to you. So
Uh-huh.
it's I don't know if there's any other place that really has that. While also it's not like we're just the college town, and
Right.
that's the part that I think distinguishes it as well as we're so big, but I think if you go to other places that are the colleges are so entwined with the community that it kind of is like that's a college town. Whereas Knoxville, although yes, kind of falls in that, there's so much more here
Yeah.
that I think
If you don't
people
care about sports, we've got number one, we got great hospitals, we got great all those types of things. But at the university, say you like concerts, this is a great place to go see
yeah,
concerts.
I mean Rascal Flats is
Market
on
Square is a
Friday.
great
Yeah.
Rascal
Rascal Flats.
Flats.
Yeah, they're on
Yeah.
Friday. So I agree with you 1,000%. Like you said, Market Square, being able to do anything downtown. But it's not even, to me, it's not even just that little area. You can go 30 minutes from the hub and start to really break that down. You've got Maryville, which is just
You can go to the Shed and
exploded
see a whole lot of
exactly
like
down
the
there.
the country rock bands that I loved as a kid. Yeah, I grew up with it as a kid.
I mean,
You
but not
know,
only that aspect, but you can go a
Americana.
little bit north and go if you're a history buff and want to learn anything about Manhattan Project stuff and go to Oak Ridge. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of different aspects, and Oak Ridge getting shout outs on movies like Oppenheimer is such a cool thing to go see and be a part of. So
Hmm.
I challenge anywhere else to be what Knoxville has to offer, and I think that's one of the things you take a lot of pride in being from Knoxville,
Yeah.
honestly.
That's why I set my books there. That's why. Oh, you were asking about stuff that I have going on. I'm about two-thirds, almost a little bit more than two-thirds of the way through the second real estate murder mystery
Yeah, but
novel.
it's Rob we're talking about here. So 2/3. That's we'll see it by what? Maybe July, maybe.
I have planned a kind of a mystery tour where it's going around with some of my friends. It was a charity thing that I set up, and um, that is probably going to be mid-March, and I plan to have the book done before then. So
Yeah, we'll
that I've
see.
given well, and that's the way I got the first book done, was I gave
Ugh.
myself a deadline, and I
I love the
finally.
first book though. I mean, a little bit of a plug for your podcast, but to also, if anybody hasn't read it, they need to get out there and go read it because it's one of my favorite
Thank you.
things to go read.
Well, I've had friends say that it's a little bit too real estatey because, I mean, the guy's making a transition
You write
from
what you know. Yeah, I mean
exactly. And
that's
but I mean, he's also making some transitions that, going from being a cop to a realtor
right.
is there's a learning curve. And then, kind of what kind of world does he move around in? I had to do some of that world building before we
So
can get into the
is it
meat
going
of
to
the
be a
story.
continuation of that book, or is it a brand new book?
Yeah, the difference is now he knows about real estate. He's not
So-
learning about
so-
real estate. He's moving within the world of real estate. He has stuff that he runs into and stuff that happens to him. But yeah, it's different. It's operating. Real estate's a framework. Knoxville's a character. It's not a
Right.
framework. Because you're still moving within 90%, 99% of it is inside Knox County lines somewhere. And,
Which is cool.
yeah, well,
That's its own thing too.
it's the world that I chose to write in. And,
I'd
happy with that.
venture too. I mean, Knox County's massive. It is a massive county.
yeah,
And
something could happen at House Mountain and you'd never hear about it in Carnes. You'd never
Never,
hear about it in
never.
Farragut. You'd never, yeah. So, I mean, it's a big world to play in.
Right.
But you can still I think the book cover is going to have it's the lead character. He's standing on the banks where Cherokee Boulevard, the park that goes along the river.
Yep.
It's fishing there.
Okay.
And in the background is, of course, there's the river, and then in the background is the medical center, the UT Medical Center,
Yep.
where a lot of the story takes place.
Awesome.
And yeah, it's just
be anxious to read it. It'll be up there for me. It'll be up there.
Yeah, well, and it's called the second story because for several different reasons. Like I always say, it's a pun like 17 different ways because we're progressing into Frank Merchant. That's the guy, the lead character. It's progressing into his second story of his life, and then it's also some of the action happens on the second story of this building that he developed with his.
Don't be giving too much away now.
Well, no, but and then there's a whole lot of, aside from being the second story in the series.
But have a little bit of fun with it,
Yeah,
pun day.
I love puns, and I love whatever.
It's the dad jokes out of you that's there.
Mhm.
Only Dickens gets to enjoy it. Dickens and Amy gets to enjoy it at the house.
Well,
but
yeah, I love being Uncle Rob to 1,000 kids. But that's awesome. Well, anything else you want to talk about?
No,
Do you have any events or anything coming up that you're excited
So,
about?
we'll do a little bit of the plugging in here, right? It's kind of
Sure.
the whole point. So, for anybody that doesn't know, we do giveaways every single month. It's a big part of what we enjoy giving back to the community. I think this month is the giveaway to Connor's Steakhouse and a couples massage.
Fun.
Is for January. That'll happen at the end. We'll draw that at the beginning of February, and by then we'll have a new one that launches. It's one every single month.
Sounds like a Valentine's Day.
Exactly. Well, we
thing to
have it
do.
set up in there to make sure it's that it can be Valentine's Day or kind of like a treat yourself. So you gotta have a little bit
Right.
in there just in case. But
Mhm.
so we'll do that. That's at hutchandhoward.com/giveaways. For anybody that maybe won't know that, you can go find the Hutch Howard page on Facebook or Instagram or anything else. You'll see the QR code listed there. So that's kind of big. Of course, it's end of January, so we're hoping we kind of get some snow days coming up here soon. That's having kids is always one of the benefits of the wintertime is being able to go enjoy those snow days. Haven't had any yet this year or end of last year, so we're really dying for that. But as we head into spring, I think that it's very exciting to see what the spring market might hold. So not so much of a event of any kind as far as like getting out there, but I think just being excited for what the spring might hold. It's the first time in a couple years where I think there's national spotlight that is good news on real estate, and I think that kind of correlates over to everybody as well. So we're excited to see what 2026 has in store. We're excited to see what some of that looks like.
What about? I know Stella she does baseball. What else
So
does she
Stella does soccer.
She does
She's big
soccer.
into soccer. Will be very much enriched in the Alcoa Intermediate School soccer team. That I'm sure that'll happen. Gracie is 3. She'll be 4 this year. So we're gonna probably get her into some t-ball. I'm hoping t-ball. That's what we're gonna go with. 14 years of baseball. I have no one to share it with, so I'm hoping that happens.
I don't know. Just my time that I've spent around her, she seems a little girly. She may be into the ballerina stuff.
Who knows, man? That's at home. You should see her. I think Rachel has some nice videos of her going out and hitting the ball on the tee. So
Oh,
that's
really?
what we're gonna go explore. But man, they're just getting so big. They're getting so big and so crazy. And I think being involved with Alcoa with their sports and everything they have to do has been an awesome experience. We just got done with basketball through the school, but we're doing like a rec league basketball now. So we'll I'm sure start soccer, and that's going to be all sorts of folding chairs and everything else that come along with it. We keep the schedule pretty busy, you know, and I'm very blessed that not only do I have this, you know, wonderful family that we do these things going about, but I'm very blessed that every client that I've ever said, hey, I can't do this day. This is my daughter's game or practice or anything else that I just can't miss. I've never had a client say, screw you. I can't, you know, you can't believe you're fired. I've just never had that happen.
No.
So I've been very blessed with that.
Well, and if you do, then, you know, to me, that's a blessing. It's like, okay, thanks. If you don't respect my time, then, you know,
well, and again,
I respect your time by giving it back to you.
I think that's the other beautiful side of this job is that you can go be that. You can go do those things. You can go be a part of the family and not miss out. And you know, are you going to have times where someone reaches out and it's like, oh my gosh, I need to go put out this fire, I need to do stuff? Of course, but every person I've ever dealt with understands the boundaries and understands how important it is for me to be a dad. That
well, and if you were quote unquote punching a clock, if you were not doing something entrepreneurial,
who knows?
You would have the same challenges about going and doing stuff with your family.
Right.
You know, companies aren't going to let you go.
I can't imagine having the jobs that I've had in the past and being as involved with my kids as I am now. There's no way that would be possible. I just don't see how.
Well, that's one thing in that I think that's a misconception with of course, everything can be the way that TV portrays it, you know, the worst case scenario. But realtors are often portrayed as people who do neglect their family because they're going after, you know.
I think that's a person. That's got to be a personality thing because for me,
well, no, it's the perception that Hollywood has.
I don't know why.
About agents.
For me, it's the complete opposite. I mean, it's everything I get to do is my schedule. When I'm making my schedule for the week of what's going to happen, it's almost like I get to start my week by saying, okay, I have X, Y, and Z commitments with the family that I've got to take care of no matter what. These are absolute A-type, not missing it type situations. And I build my calendar around that. And that's
a gift to me, Keller Williams. Gary Keller said, you know, he half the reason that I love Keller Williams is because of the wit and wisdom of Gary Keller, you know, and just his pithy way of saying things. You know,
what family, faith, business.
And or God, family, business, or family, faith, however you would. There's also, I mean, he's illustrated that he plans on by January 1st of any given year, he's planned his vacations, he's planned this, he's planned, you know, everything.
I mean,
to where
if there's anybody that's able to time block and do those things, it's going to be Gary Keller.
Time blocking. I'm as an IS, I'm not, and maybe a little bit ADD or whatever.
I think we might all be. Honestly, I think we might all be.
At this point, it's in the water. But
well, and you know, it's like right now, I'm fully dedicated and going. One of my big goals this year is to read more. It's very much been a big goal of mine. Well, right now, I'm probably about 2/3 of the way through the one thing. Never read it before, and every time I pick it up now, I've probably about 3 or 4 sessions, and every time I pick it up, I don't want to put it down. I don't want to do those things, and so. For me, it's like that. The one thing for me and how I handle those and why I do those is something that I think correlates to a lot of what Keller Williams teaches. And to me, that's where the big differences are in these is being able to distinguish that and stand out with that. And it's if it wasn't for Keller Williams being upfront and saying, hey, you should read this book, I would have never read it. I would have never done it. I would have never picked it up.
And the rest of us echoing, hey, you should read this book.
Yeah, well, yeah. but that all comes to obviously being KW agents and being that part of it. So, and I think any KW agent that might turn around and listen to this is all going to agree with that statement. And all, you know, we all have the MREA. I can't imagine walking into a KW and being like, I've never read the MREA. I think everybody.
I don't care to. Yeah. I mean, but that's true. You can go to, I mean, EXP was somebody that spun off of KW, and you know a lot of the other. I mean, it's still the guidebook. Gary Keller's a genius of the industry. He's not necessarily a just the KW agents. There's
Well,
a lot of
and
KW agents that go to family
I was
reunion.
about to say family reunions coming up. That's going to be a big thing. But even last year, towards the end of the year, going through Bold, I mean,
Yep.
just having that type of situation where so many other KW agents are doing exactly what we're doing. So many other are choosing that side of it. So as far as the KW side of it goes, I don't think there's anywhere better. I truly don't see how it can get beat. I haven't been blessed enough to be able to attend a family reunion yet. That's on the bucket list of things. I could have gone this year. It just the time to me, the time wasn't quite right yet. So that'll be one that I definitely will be attending here soon, I'm sure.
Well, I have a preference and kind of a desire to do mega agent camp more than family reunion.
And you've said that for years.
For
years
as long
that
as
you've
I've
said that.
as since the first time that I went to one, and it's just okay. I had a maps coach last year or year whatever, and she always said, okay, there's one family reunion that you can go to, and there's tens of thousands of people. Mega camp is thousands of people. If you go to the masterminds, that's hundreds of people. And then, so as learning goes, the more concentrated, the closer you can be toward the front, the closer you can be toward focusing on things rather than a whole lot of distractions. That's my philosophy on loving mega camp a little
I'm
bit
always very big too that just the purpose of those is to just become better agents and also the social side of it with everybody else.
more.
I mean, I don't know about you, but how many deals have you done off of those where it's, hey Rob, I've got somebody moving from California or
Yeah,
wherever.
I've met dozens, if not more than that, of agents from across the country, and they're on my Facebook. I send occasionally if I have a good reason to, I'll send or if it occurs to me or whatever, I'll send one of the little handwritten notes to them and just hey, I was thinking about you. Wasn't it fun that time that we, and so on and so forth, and just kind of rehash the type of relationship that I
Right.
had with them.
Well, and also I think it gears up towards what to kind of expect too. Like I know as we went through this family reunion side last year and everybody had their very first meeting where Gary said, hey guys, not going to be that big of a difference between 2025 and what 2024 was. And he was very blunt, like, and to have somebody at the head of the realm that's like, I'm telling you, I've seen this, I know how this is going to go. And feel the confidence from that too. It's just an awesome experience, I think, to see and be a part of. So it's on the bucket list.
That was such a great that was fun because he said, okay, the good news is that we're probably in the fourth best year of real estate history,
right?
And the bad news is that the last 3 years were
1, 2, and 3.
We're 1, 2, and 3, yeah. So, but that all that kind of stuff's always fun and crazy. Well, I guess it's time to wrap up. I really appreciate you doing this.
Of course.
I always have fun talking to you, and
I'm sure we'll go round 3 at some point in time. That anybody that knows us can probably go back and find the very first video we ever did, which had to have been 2022 at least. Had to have been. So now sitting here 2026.
If I spot it, I'll link it.
I guess I'll see you in 2030. What's his name?
I hope we're both here and both doing this whenever. Yeah.
Well, and Robbie, I think you'll always be to a point where if you wanted to retire tomorrow, I think that you could go turn around and just live off of people that reach out to you again,
Well,
so for you, I love the fact of getting this side out and doing those sides of it. So I'll always help in any way that I absolutely can with it.
I appreciate it. And the same 100%. I do look forward to, working on finishing up Howard's Pond. I'm excited.
Which we'll have to go do video tours of. We'll have to go make sure everyone's aware of all those. We're going to have to, Rachel and I are going to have to go steal a night out there,
Yeah. Well, I've told you if it's not booked and you want to do it, it's just pay the cleaners and that's fine. And wrapping up the book, trying to think what all I'm doing. Trying to be more consistent with the website postings and the blogs and things like that. But yeah, thank you for being here in the Knoxville podcast, and Chad Chappelow. You have any last words or anything?
No, you can find a lot of the stuff that I do on a regular basis. Pretty much every social media page being Knoxville Chad. It's going to be Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Not on Twitter or X, but all of those you can go find. And again, don't forget about the giveaways. Hutchhoward.com/giveaways.
Perfect. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you soon.